Blizzard are dropping massive news about World of Warcraft housing. Again. Hello everybody, I am Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming. Azeroth Beautiful, a look at housing interior design. This just dropped massive news about World of Warcraft's player housing. Let's get into it, let's react to it. I skimmed it, this seems pretty in-depth. Welcome home, adventurers. In our previous housing article that I talked about before, link in the description down below, we shared a high-level overview of our plans and philosophies. This time around, we are getting concrete and discussing specifics for decoration systems. Thank God! It allows us to not only show off some of what's possible, but also to answer some of the common questions and concerns we've seen come up from the community. A couple disclaimers. Number one, this article only focuses on interior decoration systems and only in a single room. There's still plenty to cover beyond the basics of decoration, but that's for another time. So pretty much, don't read too much into the scale of housing just from what they're talking about here. Number two, we're going to show you a lot of work-in-progress assets and UIs, as well as using some terms that are not finalized. So please focus more on the functionality and less on the details of just how specific things look or sound just yet. Okay, fair enough. With that out of the way, let's talk about decoration and housing. Getting down to the basics. Decoration has two primary modes, basic and advanced, and you can freely toggle between them at any time while decorating with a key press. Basic mode allows you to quickly place or remove objects and move them around while keeping their movements somewhat constrained to make putting something together quick and easy. It has a number of rules in place to help with this. Decor can be moved around on the ground and will move on top of things as it bumps into them or down to the ground as they reach the edge. This lets you move around and have them interact in the expected way. Decor can be rotated around its up axis with rotation snapping to 15-degree increments so objects don't accidentally unalign with other objects as you rotate them. And we actually have video, let's go! Okay, there's a grid base on the ground as well, for more finer adjustments, at least, so you can line things up easier. And we actually get to see the inside of our house. The textures look pretty dang good to me. Decently spacious, at least from this one screenshot, but again, don't read too much into the specifics as they're just talking about a single room here, for demonstration purposes. This looks pretty good to me, though. Got a whole edit mode as well. Oh my god, is that a color palette in the bottom in the middle of the UI there? Can you change the colors of these assets? Or am I, misreading that? Okay, right out of the gate, this looks way better than I would ever have thought it would look. Let's get into it more though. Decor has collision with other pieces of decor as well as the floor, wall, and ceilings, and players are unable to move decor through other things, no losing things in the walls. Decor will align to the floor, wall, or ceiling depending on what sort of decor it is, e.g. a rug will align with the floor, while a painting will align with the wall. If you move it around a corner, it will continue to align properly. This also means decor will snap to the ground if you move it off something. And we have another video here to demonstrate what they're talking about. Okay, they have a window and you can easily move it around the wall. And it also seems as this window itself is a light source. This is the kind of stuff to me that I'm really keeping an eye out for just because of the creativity of the community. And just the creativity of people that utilize player housing in other games is being able to utilize assets in non-traditional ways. Ideally speaking, you give players the agency to be able to move things the way they want and where they want because it allows people to either tackle the system from a basic perspective if they don't want to get into the weeds of things, but it allows people with a lot of boundless creativity to really test the systems and create new and unique things utilizing these assets by just placing them in unorthodox ways. You can look at player housing from across other games as well, and particularly Final Fantasy XIV, just to see just how much you can really toy with these kinds of systems to create visuals and just looks that you wouldn't ordinarily think you could get out of a system like this. Now, I did read a little bit ahead to double check. This is specifically for the basic mode, for edit mode. So it's kind of idiot-proof in that they won't allow you to move decor through other things. We'll see how flexible this is in the advanced section in a little bit though. So far the edit mode looks surprisingly competent. Certain types of smaller decor will parent to certain types of larger decor when placed on top of them. This means when you move the larger decor, the smaller decor moves along with it. This allows you to, for example, place books on a bookshelf and then move the whole shelf instead of having to move everything individually. That sounds really basic, but yeah, that's important. So ideally, if I put a bunch of stuff on top of a table and then I move the table, the stuff on top of the table moves along with it, so I don't have to like reconfigure everything just because I realize, hey, I kind of want to move the table from this one position to this other position. We got another video. They're really showing a lot of actual in-game footage for this, aren't they? Example of items being placed on a parent object. Why does that food look weirdly good? Like, it's weirdly high quality. Same thing with a lot of these actual assets. Yeah, so you can see what I mean. You put items on top of the table, you can then move the table and all the items move along with it. That's basic, but it's good that they actually, have this. Just removes a lot of potential frustration if someone's put a lot of time and energy in actually creating a specific look on top of a surface or like in a bookshelf, and then they realize, you know what, I really want to move this. Just removes any possible frustration before it could possibly happen. Players can show a grid and enable snapping, which will snap decorations to the point or points on the grid, helping you keep everything neat and tidy. It will even shrink down when you're placing something on a smaller surface like a table. Oh, so objects can change their size as well. Oh, no, I think I read that wrong. It changes the grid, so you get a little bit more accuracy if you're trying to place things on top of a surface in comparison to like the floor or the wall. Okay, that makes sense. That's smart. And remember, that was all for just the basic mode. Now they're going to go into advanced interior design. In quotations, but that's so restrictive! ! We hear you saying, don't worry, just switch to advanced mode and feel the true power at your fingertips. Advanced mode effectively turns off a lot of the rules of basic mode, but also offers up additional tools of its own as well. Decor has no collision in advanced mode. Wanna push a chair into the wall? Enjoy. This is a game changer. A lot of this is functionality that many people, myself included, thought WoW was just simply too old to really support. A lot of this is like basic stuff in other games with housing, but again, we just thought WoW was too old to really support stuff like this, which led to a lot of sentiment when housing in WoW was announced. That sentiment was pretty much, how basic is this going to be? Is this just going to be garrisons? Because we wanted functionality like this back in the day with Warlords of Draenor, but we didn't get that. This looks competitive to me, with like a lot of other contemporary titles in this space. This sounds really dang good, and we have a video in a different resolution for some reason for advanced mode. Advanced clipping. So in advanced mode, which again is just a toggle, this removes the restriction in basic mode that prevented you from clipping objects into each other. But you can in advanced mode. Okay, so it is literally just a button input, okay? Oh, that is smooth. Oh, that is smooth. Of course, it's like, this looks a bit goofy, right? But the power this will give a lot of people that are creative enough to really make use of a system like this. This allows you to use all the assets that already exist and are available with housing in different ways and non-traditional ways. Just as an idea, imagine making a bunch of these tables, having them be placed inside the wall, but only the metal like outline poking out to give the wall a metal outline effect. And you can pair a bunch of these tables like right alongside each other and do something like that. That's just a small microcosmic example of what allowing no collision can do in something like player housing. Okay, we're getting nerdy with this apparently. You can enable gimbals, little 3D controls and objects, which will let you move objects on all 3 axes, including floating them up into the air without having to jump through hoops. I know in the last time they talked about housing, they really called out Final Fantasy XIV. I'm kind of on the lookout for anything that could possibly be a jab at Final Fantasy XIV. That kind of sounds like one, just not as upfront and direct as the other article. So I can just place things in midair. Advanced floating. A gimbal is a pivoted support that permits rotation of an object about an axis. Okay, we've got a video for this. Oh my god. Okay, dare I say this is starting to kind of look better than Final Fantasy XIV's housing? Dare I say this? You can just have objects floating in midair, and you don't have to do any weird, like, glitch or anything like that to get it to work. It just, works like that. That's incredible. Also, something I've been bearing in mind. Look in the top right corner. There seems to be a resource here. 515 out of 10,000. I am assuming that's like the limit of things you can put in your house or use to decorate. This room looks pretty full, and that's only 515 out of 10,000. I assume this is just one room, and that this value also applies to outside decorations, which I don't think are covered by this article. But like, look at some of the assets here. There's vines in the wall back there. You have candles. You have like a goblin love chair, a bookshelf with like the whole holy grail in it, also flowers, a telescope, all the stuff on the table that you can apparently lift into the air and just have levitate, and probably also rotate in midair as well. You have in the bottom right what looks like a blood elf-inspired rug, and a bunch of paintings on the right, one being like Dalaran, then a couple of others, including a bed. You can have a book on your bed, and I can't tell what's that in the back corner next to the bed. It might be boxes, it might be a passageway, and there seems to be another painting on the far left here as well. This looks really good. Also the fireplace, which looks movable. I'm not gonna lie, this looks really dang good. And we're not even halfway through the article. What else is in here? Moving on, a different gimbal can be used to rotate an object freely on any axis as well. Advanced rotation, and I imagine you can use both of these at the same time. Yeah, you can rotate the object however you want, including on any axis. This is really flexible. This is really impressive to me. And again, you can have it float. People are going to get so creative with this. People are going to get extremely creative. I cannot wait to see what people are going to make with this. Obviously, we still need to have enough assets to really allow creativity to flourish, but still, it's like these are the tools you need to have alongside those assets. Finally, a third gimbal can scale an object's size up and down within some generous limits, making something smaller or giant. And we have a video for that as well. A bit awkward to control, but again, having this functionality at all is really impressive to me. So you can scale the objects up or down, so it keeps the original size of the objects on top of the asset. It just changes the asset itself. It seems to try and preserve its relative location, though, on the grid. It just makes the grid smaller on top of the asset. This could be like both a good and a bad thing. It depends on like what you want to do with it. Advanced mode lets you interact and design things with very specific controls to make whatever your heart may desire. Internally using this, employees have taken bushes and made them into garland for their fireplaces, constructed a boat's prow from a bed, or made paint buckets into small spice racks for their kitchens. Oh, that's clever. A variety of decor put together in one room. There's like a Christmas tree that looks like a night elven asset on the far left, and then the dwarven keg right next to it. Oh my god, you know there's gonna be some Guna out there that tries to replicate the South Park apology meme. You know, from the BP and like Cthulhu episode, because that just makes sense in South Park, where they're gonna have their character like butt naked on that rug, look at the camera and go, "I'm sorry." It's going to happen. It might be me that does it, but it's going to happen. There's dying? Okay, so it's what I thought I spotted earlier. We've been dying for housing. In addition to the decoration modes, we wanted to call out some other functionalities and choices we've made. Some because they're cool and worth sharing, and others because they directly answer some of the questions we've seen since the first article went up. For newly created assets, as opposed to legacy ones from existing art, while allowing players to dye them a variety of colors. So if you find it share but wish the upholstery was blue instead of gray, you can make that change. But what if the blue doesn't match the stain of the wood or color of the metal now? Well, you can fix that as well. So this seems to be specifically for newer assets, which makes sense, because the older assets probably weren't designed with this functionality in mind. Alright, let's see this in play. Okay. I imagine you can also, like, change that box to not be in the middle of the freaking screen, so you can actually see what you're trying to augment, but that looks pretty dang good. Yeah, so each of the newer assets is broken down into various sections. You can change those sections' colors individually. I wonder if you just get all these colors out of the box, or if they, like, actually unlock them somehow. Looks pretty good to me. I do wonder why it's not just, like, a hexagonal input. Could be, like, some hardware limitations or something. But again, features like being able to dye the colors of various assets is something we didn't expect this game to be able to support, but I guess it just can now. Make your space your own with living color. Again, these are powerful tools to have alongside each other. Being able to change the scale of objects, being able to place them wherever you want, also being able to change the colors of them, at least some of them. But that's not all. It's not just decorations you use to customize your space, but the wallpaper, ceiling, and flooring as well. You can mix and match these to elicit various cultures and vibes, or just make up your own. You can take things a step further too and use partition objects to build walls where none were before, letting you make rooms with arbitrary interiors. There's quite a few rooms in here, by the way. House layout from above. Yeah, we're not gonna gloss over how big this house is. Are these like predefined rooms and that can like make them smaller with partitions after? afterwards, or like can we change the inherent layout of the actual building? Because in the middle it does say square lodge. I wonder if that's just the shape of the overall house or if that's like specifically for a room. Top right corner of the screenshot as well says room limit 2 out of 10, and it also says floor 0. So can you have multiple floors here? Curiouser and curiouser. Speaking of mixing and matching, we saw a lot of questions around what would be allowed in terms of decor. Inside your home, you can decorate however you want. So if you want Blood Elf wallpaper with a stone roof and wooden floor, go for it. That looks rather nice. A larger multi-purpose room with more items and decor. Yeah, that looks very nice. You can use the barrels as like bar stools as well. There's even like a footrest here. Got like a painting of Antonidas in the background there. Before we go outside, joke's on you, we play WoW, we don't go outside. While we're not really talking about exteriors in this article, it's worth mentioning that the outside size of your house has no bearing on how big the interior is. If you want a huge mansion outside with just one room inside, or a tiny shack on the outside but a dozen rooms inside, you do you. We can make a clown car of a house. Let's go. We have to make it so it's like the smallest house imaginable on the outside, but massive on the inside. We'll share more about the exteriors for your home later though. There's so much more to discuss with decorations. Where do we get stuff? How do I show off my collection of transmogs, pets, and mounts? How do professions fit in, and more? Never mind neighborhoods, and we can't wait to share more. Please keep sending us your feedback and we'll keep building, but in the meantime, here's another screenshot a team member made from mixing some various styles. A bedroom with a little extra bling and plenty of books. I do hope we get like more than just like this one goblin love chair in terms of chairs, because we've been seeing this one quite a lot. But again, it's just like a showcase of the capabilities of customization on the interior. I'm not going to read too much into like repeated assets and stuff like that. It's all just a work in progress at the end of the day. We look forward to sharing more with you as we continue to give you more insights on the new housing system. This looks absolutely incredible to me. There's still a few potential pitfalls, namely being there not being enough assets to really customize to our heart's content, but they've already talked about supporting this system going into the future, so I imagine that's one of the big things they'll just continually add to. But I think they at least are addressing a lot of the extremely important and critical concern points that we had with the announcement of housing. How flexible was the system? How much could we really like sink our teeth into it? And it seems to be a great deal. The edit mode looks really, really, really flexible, but also simple at the same time. I am fundamentally not used to feeling this way about World of Warcraft, where they talk about a system that on paper sounds really cool and interesting, and makes you want to be hyped for the feature, and then seemingly delivering on that. I'm fundamentally not used to that. And like I said before, there's still a lot of potential pitfalls this system can have, especially on release, if there's not enough assets to really make use of people's creativity or make it feel just far too limiting. But that's the problem. One, we don't even know if it's going to have yet, but also two, that can be, even if it does happen on launch, it can be addressed over time as they introduce more and more assets. The way they talked about this was that seemingly we would have access not only to new assets, but also older ones, because they specifically made a point to mention you can't really change the colors or dye older made assets. And you wouldn't talk about that if they weren't also included in the housing. So if they already have this wellspring of assets from the history of World of Warcraft, ideally you could just lift those in. I don't know if there's some like back-end issue for doing that, but this is far more customizable, this is far more flexible, and far more user-friendly than I ever thought it would be in World of Warcraft. There was a time where quite a few people, when this was announced, thought it would be pretty much glorified garrisons, where there would be a section on a wall and you could select, do you want it to be a sword, an axe, or like a dragon head? And people legitimately thought housing would probably just be like that. This is, in my opinion, a contender. I haven't played too many other MMORPGs that also have player housing. My experience comes from Final Fantasy XIV. This, to me, at least in terms of ease of editing and the flexibility of editing without having to make use of like glitches and stuff like that, seems better on the surface. I am thoroughly impressed by Blizzard here. And if they actually do succeed on delivering what this can be, and from everything they keep talking about, it is going in that direction, that this will be an actually good feature, this will fundamentally change World of Warcraft going into the future. Not everyone cares about customization. Not everyone cares about player housing. But a hell of a lot more people do than you realize. This greatly expands on the social features World of Warcraft could have in the future. This expands on community-centric things. This gives a lot of agency to the community to just have fun being in the game. For the longest time, we talked about World of Warcraft's crippling design flaw being that it is almost inherently designed to funnel you into endgame content, either that being Mythic Plus, raiding, high-end PvP, or at least now Delves. And that was always one of the strengths of World of Warcraft, because the other MMO elements just weren't really there in the modern game. This is addressing that. This is fleshing out the world in World of Warcraft. I don't think a lot of people truly understand how important stuff like this is. It adds another vector for rewards in-game. Another reason for people to log in. Another reason for people to talk to each other. Another reason for people to have fun with each other. This is a system that, in my opinion, again, if they nail it, which it's looking like they're going to, this will fundamentally change the game. For the better, I might add. And not just for like a little better, for a lot better, if that's even English. The UI looks clean for the most part. Again, work in progress. It seems easy to use, but also extremely flexible. I am more optimistic than ever about the state of the game for World of Warcraft. I am thoroughly excited for this feature. Thank you all for tuning in. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts, your opinions, your reactions to player housing in World of Warcraft. Are you excited? Are you not? Is this better than you thought it would be? Is it a disappointment for whatever reason? I'd love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinion, hear your perspectives. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you like this video and you want to see more content. I know I would appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, go play some video games if you can, and as always, I'll see you all next time. Bye bye everybody, until we meet again!